Hey guys, and welcome back to Allie and CoCo Science Show. So today I wanted to jump back into our videos with a fun edition of Allie and CoCo's Sci Cinema. Now I asked you guys over on my Instagram, what movie do you want me to watch and talk science of? And it was really close, very close. But the winner was Finding Nemo. Now we all know and love Finding Nemo, but if you don't, Finding Nemo is a Pixar movie from the year 2003 that features a clownfish named Marlin and his very forgetful new friend Dory going across the ocean to go find his son who was kidnapped by a diver/dentist. Now the movie is so beautiful. I love this movie, and there are a lot of things they did amazingly. However, there are a few things they got wrong. So let's jump into it. So first, let's start off with some of my favorite things that they did right, a little positivity. So first off, I just love the animation, breathtaking. It's beautiful, it's fantastic, and just, they nailed it. The ambiance is amazing. The ocean, the sea life, their flecks that they animated in the ocean, they didn't have to do that, but they did. They did, and it is amazing. I also love that they included one of my favorite marine animals, the Spanish dancer, this nudibranch, or like a sea slug, is a real thing, and I am so glad they included it because it's so beautiful. Sea slugs are just cool. They deserve love, you know? Also, the sharks. I love the sharks. The species they chose do eat fish, and you know, it was a fun comedic part, but there are over 400 species of shark. Odds are there are going to be some that don't eat fish. Also, sharks, a lot of them are scavengers, so they aren't mindless eating machines, you know. Also, this was in the last couple years, so definitely after the movie was made, but there is a species of shark that's a vegetarian that eats seaweed. Now, a little bit off of the marine science, but I love the soundtrack. The soundtrack makes me feel like I am floating in the ocean. It's fantastic. I listen to it all the time when I'm working or reading. Amazing soundtrack. I also love Mr. Ray. I love his educational songs about singing about the different levels of the ocean.
Pelagic, Mestopelagic, Bathyor, Bisopelagic, all the rest are too deep for you and me to see. Huh, I wonder where my class has gone.
Also, there's nothing to see. Another really important thing I want to bring up is the whole taking fish off the reef and putting them in an aquarium. We see the dentist grabbing Nemo off the reef and putting him in his dentist office tank, and this isn't too far from reality. So most of our aquarium fish, whether that be in a big aquarium or zoo or in our at-home tanks, come from the ocean. And this is a huge problem because it exhausts those populations. You see a huge diminish in the number of wild clownfish. However, since the movie came out, we have started a lot of amazing captive breeding programs that have seen some success, and that's awesome, but they're not perfect. And they still have a long way to go, and some species are harder to breed in captivity. So it's really important that we kind of dive into researching this more and improving so that we don't take as much from the ocean. So that's a few of the things I got right, but what are a few of the things that make me So first is the EAC. So the East Australian current is a real current that a lot of marine animals will use to help in their migration, so they don't have to use as much energy. It's a nice little, like a conveyor belt at the airport. Just like a conveyor belt at the airport, this thing is not going like 65 miles an hour and you're not like, righteous. No, it's a little slower than that. Otherwise though, animals using the EAC I think was an awesome touch. It's just not like race car fast. So don't get your hopes up, guys. Also, remember when I mentioned just like a minute ago that a lot of these aquarium fish will come from the ocean? It really bugs me knowing that Nemo gets into the tank and all of these fish are like, the big blue, what's it like? And The guy who says that is the yellow tang, and yellow tang, until very recently, could not be captively bred. So Bubbles should have known what the big blue was. In fact, many of those fish should have known. Now, another thing that's always bugged me is the whale. Now, I love the whale. I think having that whale is cool. I love how they animated the baleen. I love whales don't eat clownfish, they eat krill. Swim away. Hey, look, krill. Love that kind of joke. But you can't blow water out of your blowhole. You just can't. Here, let's use my friend Nartok, for example. Now, cetaceans, whales, and dolphins have a really awesome adaptation called the blowhole, which will be like right here. And that blowhole is awesome because you can just pop up and get some oxygen while you're swimming around. And it can also be used for communication. So they can kind of move the muscle on the top and make different noises. The blowhole is only connected to their lungs. The mouth, which is not used for making noises or breathing, is connected to the digestive system. So, if you're a whale, you can't take water in and then blow it out your blowhole. That's wild. What happens? We usually see water coming off of the tops of whales, and what that is there's a cover, a little muscle covering up that blowhole. They don't want that water getting in because, that can make them sick. So whales will actually exhale first. So instead of going, whales exhale to blow the water off, they go, isn't that cool? That's cool. So that's why we see water coming off, but it's not water coming from their mouths. That's not true science. And that's always really, 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 really bugged me. Yeah. Okay, guys, now the last thing that really bugs me from a science perspective, but from a movie perspective, I understand why they didn't include it. It's about clownfish biology. I'm just going to tell you because I think it's really cool and interesting, and you should know about it. So clownfish live in female-dominated societies. You have your biggest clownfish is usually the alpha female, and then your biggest alpha male, female's still bigger, and then a bunch of smaller males who kind of help out around the place. They do pair up. They do live in the anemone, but
that's a pretty big butt.
Clownfish are what you call sequential hermaphrodites. It is a really cool word, isn't it? What that means is, so the clownfish will start off as male, and with maturity, they may become female. And it's also very circumstantial. So if you're in a colony of clownfish and your alpha female dies, well, the largest male will become the breeding alpha female. And then one of the smaller, maybe the next largest male, will become the alpha breeding male. So, if this were a real world Finding Nemo documentary, Coral, the mom, dies, and Marlin becomes Marlena or something. Marlin would have become a female, and the next largest clownfish male in the area would have been the next breeding male. Isn't that exciting? So guys, that about covers this episode of Allie and CoCo Sci Cinema. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned a lot about Finding Nemo, what it did right, and some marine biology. For my rating as a movie, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a beautiful movie, has such amazing visuals. I loved the research put into reef diversity and marine biology. It's just honestly such a beautiful movie, great soundtrack. It makes you laugh, it makes you feel things. So, really enjoy the movie. I always will. It's, 7 to 18 years old, and I still love it. And for science rating, I'm going to give it 3 Erlenmeyer flasks out of 5. My reason being, it did have a lot of that diversity and research put into it, and they did have a lot of scientific accuracies throughout the movie. However, there are a few key things, like they could have had a conversation about all the fish coming from the ocean. Also, the whole whale exhalation. You can't It looks impressive on film, but you can't blow water out of your blowhole. And then the Clownfish Hermaphrodite experience, I understand why they didn't put in. It'd be a lot to explain in the intro 5 minutes. We barely got to see coral. For the question of the week, I want to know, what is your favorite marine animal? I mentioned I love the Spanish dancer. I love sea slugs in general. I think they're so cool. I'm a big fan of invertebrates. I love jellyfish, shrimp. I love them all. I'm a huge marine fan. As you can also tell, I do love narwhals, and I do have some narwhal socks on. I don't have any marine fish socks, but that's that. So go ahead, comment down below, what is your favorite marine animal? And also, if you want to, comment down below if you have any suggestions for other movies that I could talk about. I will take anything. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.
Oh my gosh! Nemo's swimming out the